Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and today we're doing the full review of the AIO Guitars TB4 Telecaster Bass. Let's check it out. This is the AIO Guitars TB4 Telecaster Bass. AIO Guitars is a small and relatively unknown guitar company that seems to have come out of thin air. They're based out of California and are producing budget Fender and Gibson copies, most of them featuring a flame maple top, like this one. Now off the bat, I'm not sure if this is a photo finish or a really thin veneer, but you can tell, at least from close up. However, standing a few feet away, this thing actually looks pretty nice. These instruments are listed at $449, but can potentially be had somewhere in the ballpark of around $400. Now that's a very interesting price point, because you can also get a Sterling SUB double humbucker bass, as well as one of the new Squier precision basses that's based on the 70s P Bass. Those are pretty cool. However, in the sea of P Bass and Fender copies, this TB4 is an interesting proposition. I believe this is the cheapest bass out there with a Telecaster body. You get a 51 P Bass single coil pickup at the neck, and some sort of soap bar at the bridge. For controls, you have a master volume, master tone, and a three-way pickup selector. Now, one thing that shocked me about AIO Guitars, even before getting my hands on this instrument, was their customer service. They seem like a very customer-centric company, and I really appreciate that. Before receiving the bass, they asked me how I would like it set up, and gave me a variety of string options to choose from for when they set it up. It's very rare to have a bass in this price point come with a full factory setup. And to my shock, when I got it, it was set up nicely. Usually when there's a pro setup, hard luck kings, they don't really do much of anything and just collect the extra money from suckers. This time around, the setup was included with the bass and they did a great job. On top of that, you also get a really nice padded gig bag and shipping is included. So already this proposition is looking pretty good. But all that really doesn't matter if this bass doesn't sound good. So let's check it out. You guys know what you need to do. Go ahead and pinch that like button so my hand can turn back to normal. Thanks. Wow, that doesn't sound bad. With the pickup selector centered and the tone knob about halfway down, this thing sounds pretty nice. One thing that I'm noticing immediately is the neck and the string spacing. The width of the neck at the nut is 42 millimeters, which is right about where I like it. And the string spacing at the bridge is 19 millimeters. Now in regards to materials, this bass has a basswood body, a one-piece maple neck, and an ebony fretboard, which is also kind of rare for a bass in this price range. At the headstock, you also have a flamed maple veneer, I think it's a photo finish, and 4 vintage style tuners. Now neck dive haters beware, this thing is probably not going to balance too well given the Telecaster body combined with the long neck and heavy tuners. That being said, the balance on the lap is not terrible. Now let's talk about these electronics a little bit. At the neck you have a 51 P Bass style single coil. Let's see how that sounds. That sounds pretty good. Now let's check out the slap tone. Not bad. Now let's take down the tone a little bit, about to 50%. Now let's take down the tone all the way. This isn't a bad pickup. Now let's check out the bridge pickup. Now immediately when I switch over to the bridge pickup, The little hum is gone. That means this is a humbucker, whereas the neck pickup is a single coil. That doesn't sound bad either. Let's take down the tone a little bit. And now let's take down the tone all the way. This pickup doesn't sound bad either. Now let's listen to both together. And now let's take down the tone halfway. And now let's take down the tone all the way. Now, how does this bass stack up to our Mexican P Bass, which is right around the same price point in the used market? It's also around the same price point as the Squier vintage precision basses, but I don't have one of those handy yet. Overall, the AIO TB4 does provide a lot of tonal flexibility. The single coil pickup at the neck does a pretty good job of capturing a P bass tone, though if that's really what you're after, I'd probably consider one of the Squiers, or a used Mexican P bass. However, I think this bass does a great job of combining vintage and modern pickups to make some great tones. The humbucker soap bar thing over at the bridge doesn't sound bad, and adds a nice secondary tone palette to an already great sounding bass. However, in regards to fit and finish, I do have to point out that AIO Guitars is definitely a smaller outfit. That being said, this bass is definitely greater than the sum of its parts. They do a great job of putting these instruments together, and overall making something that is high quality for the price. However, some issues that I did encounter in regards to fit and finish were very minor. There's some small hammer marks that are visible on the sides of the fretboard, and there appears to be a line of marker underneath the finish that is visible on the side. That being said, those aren't really big deals to me. Overall, this bass is a great budget alternative to a Squier P bass or a used Mexican P bass. I also appreciate the unorthodox approach of offering a Telecaster style bass at this price point. I also do have to commend AIO Guitars for being so customer focused. I like how they reached out and asked how I would like this bass set up, and asked my preference for strings. I'm also impressed with the quality of the bag that comes with the bass, as well as the setup out of the bag. They did a good job. So what am I going to rate the AIO TB4 Telecaster Bass? I'm going to go ahead and give this bass 3 claws out of 5. For my reviews, I use the $400 Mexican Precision bass as kind of a reference point. I like to analyze all the instruments that I review from the eyes of someone who's shopping for value as well as quality. And the Mexican P Bass sits at a 3 out of 5 because that's our reference point. It's average. It's not bad by any means, but it's not exceptional. This falls under that same category. With this bass, AIO Guitars gives you a good mix of features and price. And while it is a little bit rough around the edges, the playability is actually really nice and the tones that you can get out of it are solid. However, the $400-ish price point is very competitive right now. Sterling, Squier, Ibanez all offer really great values around that price point. And among those, this doesn't necessarily stand out that much, but it doesn't fall behind either. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the AIO Guitars TB4 Telecaster Bass. And as always, until we groove again.